the global Samud Flotilla vessels. When I first started the broadcast 4 hours and 22 minutes ago, they were right about to be intercepted by the Israeli naval blockade. 4 hours later, Greta Thunberg has been arrested and apprehended, and they are deploying water cannons on some of the
not
vessels.
For fame, but rather to keep all eyes on Gaza, which has been the message from this flotilla right from the beginning. Its whole purpose is to draw the world's attention to Gaza, for people to speak about Gaza.
Here's the Novara media. Where are you at? I'm in France. So the military escorts were all a trick. I think with the exception of the Spanish one, but I guess the Spanish one is also not doing I covered it. I mean, I didn't cover it, but I posted about it yesterday. But basically, it was just PR. The Greek vessels only allowed safe passage for the Humanitarian Flotilla through Greek territorial waters. The Turkish drones that were overseeing the Samud Flotilla basically returned yesterday. They left. The Italian one was the most egregious. The Italian vessels actually made one more demand at the last point. One last demand, with Giorgia Meloni coming out and saying one of the most insane things I've ever heard. Okay. Meloni came out and initially said, let's take the humanitarian aid from you and we'll deliver it. Okay. Then they said, go to Cyprus, redirect their ship to Cyprus. The Italians on board said, F you, we're going to Gaza. Okay. Then they tried one last time yesterday to say, oh, let's redirect to Ashkelon. Okay. Let's redirect the ship to Ashkelon, the Israeli port, and then we'll deliver the aid that way. And then they all departed. And the only country that I thought could potentially go through with it and allow the humanitarian aid ship to go all the way in to the Gaza boundary was Spain. But the Spanish government has announced that its ship, the Fuhrer, will no longer escort the humanitarian flotilla en route to Gaza. In its statement, Spain expressed respect for the humanitarian mission, but strongly recommends that the flotilla not attempt to breach the Israeli naval blockade for safety reasons. Showcasing once again that ordinary citizens of good conscience are braver than the navies of numerous European governments. Think about that. These are people on dinghies. These are people on boats with baby formula on their boats. And naval vessels are afraid of Israel's intensity and Israel's unlimited violence. But yeah, Meloni's statement was the most insane. Italy's Meloni says Gaza flotilla risks escalation, could blow up potential ceasefire deal.
The left was all in.
Israel's Israeli foreign minister calls flotilla dangerous provocation intended to inflame tensions and undermine ongoing diplomatic efforts. First of all, the ongoing diplomatic efforts are in a lot of plazas in Italy. People are blocking everything now. Read my last message. People will react to this in Italy. Yeah. I think the promises from Spain, Italy, and Turkey have been a bit overstated in the press and on social media. So just to say that no naval vessel from any country is officially with us after 150 miles from Gaza, we will be on our own, says Alex Colston, who is the story editor and journalist from Dropsite News, who's also on the Samud Flotilla. They are violating their international obligation. The Houthis are more worthy for meeting their obligations in their attempts to stop the genocide. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. France is the same. People are reacting right now in Paris as well as in other cities. That's the direct U.S. line so far on the flotilla. She's falling in line with Trump's international fascist project. I mean, that's not surprising. She's a fascist. The entire reason as to why these countries even said that they would send naval vessels was because of the incredible response from the respective populations. Okay? Work stoppages, general strikes like like what we saw in Italy, protests all over the streets. That is the only reason why these countries even offered a symbolic state recognition to Palestine as a pressure valve. And that is the only reason why they would even entertain sending some kind of assistance as a protection measure. But it was exactly, it was for nothing. It was just all optics. It was completely meaningless. These nations did not get together and violate the Israeli blockade as Israel is conducting its genocide and put their naval vessels on the line and their own militaries on the line to force Israel to stand down. And here we are.
You are instructed to change your course. Any further attempts to sail toward Gaza endangers your safety and places you within an active war zone. If you continue on your route and attempt to breach the naval blockade, we will stop your vessel and act to confiscate it through legal proceedings in court.
Now, let's just bring you up to date on our top story this evening. The flotilla, roughly a 42-vessel convoy. And you can see the images of that flotilla on our screens right now. Some of the vessels that have been intercepted.
There's audio recordings from the Global Samud Flotilla and is addressed to the IOF. Thiago puts an IOF soldier on the spot.
An attempt to breach the naval blockade, we will stop your vessel and act to confiscate it through legal proceedings in court. You bear full responsibility for your actions.
Say that we are entering an active war zone. You're saying that we are entering a place where we are committing war crimes. This is against international law. Once again, the International Court of Justice made a provisional ruling that any attempt to hinder a humanitarian mission to Gaza is prohibited by international law and is complying with the request to make you accountable for the crime of genocide. The International Criminal Court has your Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu under an arrest warrant for the crime of starving children and starving people to death using starvation and famine as a weapon of war. Therefore, it's our moral duty to continue sailing. It's our moral duty to refuse any attempt of an occupying force to control humanitarian aid for the Palestinian people in Gaza who have the right of their sovereignty, who have the right of their self-determination and to control their own borders. Therefore, we do not recognize you as a legitimate agent to control any attempt to bring aid to the Palestinian people in Gaza. We request you to stand down, to do not commit another war crime among so many that you've been committing, and to stand down. Do not engage with our peaceful, non-violent, humanitarian solidarity mission for the Palestinian people in Gaza. I advise you again.
Also, here's a funny thing from Israel, of course. The Israeli Navy has released a video of one of their lieutenants calling the Samud Flotilla to surrender its aid. In keeping with recent IDF policy to avoid foreign tribunals over Gaza, she faces away from the camera.
You are approaching a blockaded zone. If you wish to deliver aid to Gaza, you may do so through the established channels. Please change your course toward the port of Ashdod, where the aid will undergo a security inspection and then be transferred into the Gaza Strip.
Yeah, they can't show their faces, by the way. Shouts out to the Hind Rajab Foundation for actively documenting all of the Israeli occupational forces terrorists who have foolishly documented themselves engaging in war crimes. But this is the new IDF policy. This is the official IDF policy for like the past half of a year now, where whenever they show like their brave warriors and whatnot, whenever they show their brave warriors, they do this thing where they shoot the back of their head. Why can't the Dems do this? Gather the Place de la République in Paris. We demand the immediate release of the crews in the Global Samud Flotilla. Bro, what the hell? They're already... What the bro, no way. Hold on now. God damn, these mobilize so fast, bro. The one thing is that I'm not... I brought my IRL backpack. The one thing is my OBS is busted right now, so I would have to most likely go offline and then online again. Do you see this? Like it doesn't show bit rate and it's not connecting. So even if I were to go to this, I would have to go offline and then online again. I know there's a huge protest in France tomorrow, which I was gonna go to. Video on the ground. 50%, il y va vraiment tout le monde. In solidarité. Yeah, I mean, this isn't the big one. The big one's tomorrow. Anyway, let's continue.
in international waters. The Israeli Foreign Ministry has said that they are in an active combat zone. Those on board say they are in international waters, and what they're doing is absolutely legal. But we've got an update now from the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They say that, and this is a quote from an ex-post that they've put up. They've said, already several vessels of the Hamas Sumud flotilla have been safely stopped and their passengers are being transferred to an Israeli port. Greta and her friends are safe and healthy. And you'll remember Greta Thunberg was detained and then deported a few months ago. There are roughly about 500 people from around the world, part of this flotilla, about 42 vessels full of aid, things like baby formula, based on what they were telling me. I was speaking earlier to David Adler, a flotilla crew member, on the phone, and they were saying they were basically waiting now and expecting the Israeli authorities, the military, to board the vessels and detain or take them off the vessels. Of course, there are some 42 of these vessels in that convoy, the largest that they've ever had, with roughly about 500 people on board, as I said, from around the world, trying to make their way towards Gaza. Partly symbolic, because this situation...
Dude, we all know why they said they're Hamas, okay? It's to justify what comes next. That's it. And I think the fact that they said this time, like, oh, they're actually funded by Hamas or some makes me feel like they'll apprehend some and then might do something worse to others if they haven't stopped every single boat so far.
Was totally predicted based on the previous flotillas that we've seen, whether it was in 2010 or in different times in the past couple of years. They've been intercepted and deported. There was a violent escalation in 2010 where almost 10 people were killed, but there were assurances given by the Israeli Foreign Ministry to the Italian Foreign Minister that there would be no violence used to prevent them, but they would eventually be intercepted, which is exactly what's happened. Now, those on board the flotilla probably knew this would be the outcome, and yet they wanted to do it because they say they wanted to highlight the plight of the Palestinian people. The Israeli Foreign Ministry says that this was just performative and that they should have given the aid they wanted to deliver into Gaza to the right authorities. But of course, we know from the past almost year, the last 9 months, 8 months or so, that no aid, sufficient aid, has not been getting into Gaza. There was a blockade earlier in the year, and now...
Can't see the video you're watching? This is the video. I don't know why. There's just like paused on this image.
Just over 100 trucks are managing to get into Gaza. Many are concerned about the number of trucks. Famine has been declared in parts of Gaza City. So this particular flotilla, attempting to highlight the issue in Gaza, the Israeli Foreign Ministry accusing them of being Hamas-backed and say that they are...
Now, this is the...
Yeah, I mean, it's complete and utter bull, by the way, the whole, like, Hamas statement. They didn't even do a good enough job. Not to say that they do a good job in other instances, but, like, it's just like they straight up had one of the most low effort, like, this person is Hamas baits I've seen. And now at the point of apprehension, it seems like mass mobilization is taking place. Here is a scene from Spain. Here, I'll show you.
زخم ربما قد يفاجئ حتى الحسابات الإسرائيلية وبالتالي ماذا عن هذه الصورة عن الحسابات الإسرائيلية.
Of course, it's the Arabic channels that are covering all of the protests. Not sure if America is covering these protests. Obviously, they don't give a shit. Here is Berlin. Remember, these countries also are worse than some other places. Like in Germany, like you're liable for arrest. Reports of protests in Berlin and all over Turkey. There's also been a steady stream of condemnation, but who cares? Here's Rome from Al Jazeera Arabic, but this is Rome. Yeah, you want to see how stupid this is? This was the Israel Foreign Ministry exposed. Official Hamas documents found in the Gaza Strip now reveal for the first time proof Hamas's direct involvement in the funding and execution of the Samud Flotilla to Gaza. Okay? It's not even, it's George Galloway. Okay? This is George Galloway. I don't even know if that's George Galloway. This is a random dude. Not even George Galloway. Okay? They are showing George Galloway next to Ismail Haniyeh, who is dead. Okay, he was killed by Israel. This is a different person and not even George Galloway. Okay, and they're claiming that George Galloway is Hamas, I guess. And they're saying that the Palestinian Conference for Palestinians Abroad was established in 2018 and functions as Hamas's representative body abroad. Okay, not even true. One, that is George Galloway, a British politician, not Hamas. Two, this is just Israel still trying to create a public justification for a violent attack as a humanitarian mission. The other guy's Palestinian Chuck Schumer. Yeah, this is Chuck Schumer after he heard Donald Trump call him a Palestinian. Except, no, I think he's like some Pakistani politician or something. So he's not even George Galloway. He's just a Pakistani unk. It's so crazy, man. Israel could just say anyone is Hamas and like European governments will literally follow through on it and they will arrest you. There's a protest in Berlin. At the Central Station. We should all sell seats to the flotilla to celebrities like Katy Perry went to outer space. Yeah, Katy Perry ain't going on a flotilla to Gaza. Let's be real. There are demonstrations in Rome. There's demonstrations in Brussels, Turkey. Gustavo Petro has announced the cancellation of the free trade agreement with Israel and kicks Israeli diplomats out of Colombia. And CGIL in Italy has called for a general strike on Friday. Maybe Jennifer Lawrence would. No, bro. Jennifer Lawrence was like talking big defending Amy Schumer after October 7. Okay. Up until like April of 2024, Jennifer Lawrence was like, Amy Schumer is so brave for speaking her truth. It's a big to the rest of the world. Meanwhile, what was her truth? Just being annoying. Yeah, J-Law recently changed their mind. Anyway, but yeah, Italy's largest union with over 5.5 million workers has called for a general strike on Friday in solidarity with the global Samud Flotilla. And smaller Italian unions have said they will join CGIL's general strike. Goats. Awesome. Amazing. Let's get back to the article.
Israeli naval forces issued a warning to activists on board one of the flotilla boats. You'll see the response of one of those activists, Tiago Avila.
This is the Israeli Navy. You are approaching a
war criminal
blockaded zone. If you wish to deliver aid to Gaza, you may do so through the established channels. Please change your course toward the port of Ashdod, where the aid will undergo a security inspection and then be transferred into the Gaza Strip.
We advise you that we are a humanitarian, non-violent solidarity mission to break the illegal siege imposed by Israel 18 years ago against the Palestinian people in Gaza and to create a humanitarian corridor. We carry only food, aid, we carry water filters, we carry crutches, we carry baby formula for the people that you've been starving to death. I repeat, you've been committing genocide for 8 decades and ethnic cleansing against the Palestinian people, and that is absolutely against international law. Once again, we are in international waters, which is not your jurisdiction. We are heading to Palestinian territorial waters, which is not your jurisdiction, despite the fact that you think you can occupy that land. But all of this is completely illegal. The highest judicial authority in the world, the International Court of Justice, in their provisional rulings on the case opened by South Africa against you for the crime of genocide, clearly stated that you are prohibited to hinder any humanitarian mission to get to Gaza. Once again, in a planet of 8 billion people, People despise you, starving children to death, bombing hospitals, schools, and shelters. We are here with the conscience of the world, moving peacefully in a non-violent humanitarian mission to take this aid.
And yeah, countries can make strong condemnations, but that doesn't mean anything. Like, do you think Turkey doesn't have the naval capacity to offer protection to its own citizens that are on the Sumud flotilla? It does. They just don't want the smoke. They don't want to piss off America. That's it. Yeah, there's mad Turkish citizens on board. Yes, I know they've been intercepting. I have been looking at the flotilla. I know.
Madeleine got to around, I think, 100 nautical miles away.
This is Meteg.
The handler got closer, or maybe it's the other way around. I mean, 50 nautical miles away is the closest that anyone's come on a boat in recent years.
That's the Irish guy, isn't
they're
it?
About that now, I believe. So perhaps I didn't expect them to get quite this far. You know, 100 was where the 2010 flotilla was intercepted. 100 was where I think the handler was intercepted.
No, not Liam.
50,
The Irish comedian
70,
guy.
The Madeleine. So, you know, it may be that they have actually come the furthest. So,
I don't
no,
know how
take
to
it
say
back.
his name. Is it Tag? The Meteg is surrounded, and I can hear the Israeli occupying force screaming at them to turn their engine off. The crew is ignoring their commands. This is the latest. Tig? Or Taiga? Taiga. This is a stupid question, but why don't they keep sailing forwards? I mean, because Israel will kill them. Like, that's why. Yeah, just ignore the genocidal entity that has been doing, that has been just melting children with zero repercussions for the past 23 months. Yeah, you guys do realize that, like, the OG was Mavi Marmara in 2010, and Israel literally sent commandos in helicopters and slaughtered a bunch of human rights workers on the ship. The OG, like, blockade, the OG humanitarian flotilla was Mavi Marmara, and they slaughtered 10 people. They just straight up dropship commandos from helicopters and just murdered them. Don't forget that the Gaza flotilla volunteers are ordinary people actually risking their lives. Yes, Israel's killed activists before while world leaders did nothing. Yeah. Ankara calls the incident unacceptable as 10 members of the aid convoy are killed during storming of Turkish ship in international waters. And then they said they were Hamas, of course. And they said the ship had weapons. And then they did the fake they did the fake message famously where they were like they made it seem like the Turkish vessel, the captain of the Turkish vessel said, "Remember 9/11. Hey, off, remember 9/11. Go back to Auschwitz." They hit the dude. Hasbara has not evolved from 2010. Okay, you need to understand, like, there was a reason why so many people who are, like, aware of Israel's tricks, there was a reason why so many people were like, oh, here we go again, when, like, they did that thing after Al Ahly where they blew up the Al Ahly courtyard, and then they were like, it was actually Hamas, and then they were like, it was actually Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and then they revealed a intercepted phone conversation where it was like, oh, ya Allah, I am from Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and I hate Israel, but also I'm so bad. I'm a bad guy. And oh no, we accidentally killed our own people. And then everyone was like, see, Israel would never bomb a hospital. It's so crazy. We bomb ourselves. Oh no. That stuff's not new. That's been around. Israel was doing that. Israel was doing that for a minute. What are the odds that they find a copy of Mein Kampf on the flotilla? Oh, high. They already called them Hamas, so they'll probably do like they'll probably say that there was like Hamas documents or something, or like a Hamas banner on there or some shit like that. Put some AKs and say they're smuggling weapons to Hamas? No, they don't even do that shit, bro. I'm telling you, with Mavi Marmara, they said the boat was carrying weapons, and they didn't even actually place weapons on the ship. They just showed a bunch of like kitchen knives and were like, you see, look at all these weapons that they had on the ship. That's why we had to shoot them with automatic machine guns from a helicopter. Nowadays, they don't even need to do that. They could just say, oh, this guy's Hamas. Look, here's a photo of George Galloway, who's also Hamas.
Oh, shit. Turn off.
Are they letting them go? What is this? Wait, they're celebrating. Genuine question, why do this at night, lol? Brother, do you think they just materialized on the Gaza coastline one night? They've been sailing for weeks. The f are you talking about? Also, Israel is the one that decides when to implement the blockade. That's the reason why they're doing it at night.
Okay, you can come up careful. Tranquilo, tranquilo.
Why didn't they fast travel? Big L for the flotilla. Yeah, they hadn't unlocked the Gaza checkpoint. That's why they can't fast travel yet. This is literally what they're trying to do. They're trying to unlock the Gaza checkpoint so they can consistently fast travel to Gaza with ease going forward. Everybody knows that.
Somebody give me a light.
Does Israel not care about even trying to launder their reputation?
That was the Matek. We had the audio there. You heard the idea.
Even if they're faking it, why take so many L's? Because at a certain point, you have to realize, like, their only goal is a genocide. And if no one is stopping them from conducting this genocide, then they don't feel the need to try to PR wash it. Like, at most, the PR laundering, the reputation laundering for the genocide comes with, like, the whole Gaza peace plan, right? Like, that's what they were trying to present as, like, a way to continue the genocide while making it seem as though they're invested in some sort of like peaceful alternative when they had no ambitions for peace whatsoever, obviously.
Continuous protests in, I believe it was in Lisbon. Was that right, Darius? In Brussels. Sorry, it was in Brussels.
Yeah, they already called the flotilla Hamas.